But it's been a while. We had last left off, if any of you all recall, at a communal dinner that was at the hunters' camp to celebrate. And some extras were invited because they assisted the hunters during a strange and sudden attack that occurred in the northwestern area of Termarkt, as a bunch, like a whole pod of ghouls, just suddenly appeared.
Yeah, I will pause to ask a clarifying question here.
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like I remember some discussion about this, but I don't recall it exactly. Were those things like straight ghouls, or were they a special subtype of ghoul?
They are a subtype of ghoul, yes. They are called ghoulites.
Okay.
Calling them ghouls is not inherently wrong, but yeah. They are smaller and weaker than ghouls. But that happened there, and you had defended them, or helped defend some of the citizens and fight off some of the ghouls. After the ghouls scattered, the church had come in to quickly take over the situation because that's sort of their domain. The Inquisition is like the home turf defenders, at least that's what they want to be regarded as. And we met Willow's brother, or one of Willow's brothers, who was kind of leading the investigation there, or at least at the head of the Inquisition forces present. There's still some suspicion about how these ghouls got so far inside the city. It's a little strange. Like there were no broken windows or anything, and there was no sounds of forced entry in the area that you were in. So it's a very unusual circumstance, to be sure. But you graciously handed off to the church at their request. Handed it off to the church, and were then free to celebrate the evening with the hunters, who some were just coming back from a successful hunt, and wanted to celebrate, and then it turned into a little bit bigger of a celebration. So you were all at the hunters' camp hanging out, and while you were hanging out there, it was just getting to know one another, and there was a new face who showed up, and this would be, her name is Hawk. She is a, just mountain of a woman. She is human, and she is old. She is in her early 60s. And for a hunter, that is exceptionally old. And she had said that there was something she could use some help with, and was willing to invite the friends she believed to be friends of Madigan, the people present, and said, yeah, I know there's a bit of a snafu with an old graveyard that used to be used by Termarkt, north of the city. And she said that you guys should meet the morning after to convene and possibly work to help her out with this graveyard snafu. But she did not really elaborate much more than that. Paige served drinks. There was also a little bit of further dialogue with figuring out that Lisa Silvers was a weirdling, though she does not outwardly look as weird as some of the other people you've met. She is in fact a weirdling. She is a subtype of a vampire. let's see, what else was there? I think that was basically it. So we can pick up right at the dinner if there's any sort of closing things that y'all wanted to say before you bidded each other adieu for the evening, as it is getting close to dark, and you, even with being as close to the city as you are, like this stretch of walk is not something that people like to walk in the dark.
I don't think Willow has anything in particular to say. She was just, it's a, not gossiping, but in very intense discussions with Lisa for most of the meal.
Mm-hmm. You were quizzing her, if I recall, about different aspects of her nature.
Well, about weirdlings in general, because she has,
Mm-hmm.
she is the doctor to all of these weirdlings in the hunter camp.
True. Yeah, this is true. And she gave you just like bits and bobs about it, as much as she could. But yeah, if y'all are satisfied, we can have everyone walk home for the evening. And I will say, let's see. In the city, the hunters typically stay within the hunters' camp, though it's not necessarily required. Just many tend to. For those of you who are not hunters, you would most likely live in the red-pink portion of the ring for Termarked, as the inner like square here in blue is relegated more towards the not royalty, but more
Aristocracy.
affluent. Yeah, that would be the aristocrats. That would be there are the governors of the different districts of Termarked who are in there. But the of all of you who are walking back, it's probably a good like what? Probably at least almost like a 30 or 40 minute walk to get home. But you would finish up dinner and start to head your separate ways, agreeing to convene in the early hours of the morning at the graveyard, assumedly. For Paige, I believe you lived in this section over here. I don't know if we decided explicitly.
I don't think we decided. We can just pop her place anywhere. Honestly, it doesn't matter all too much as long as it's like near the family business.
Yeah, I assume you would live on the second floor of the family business.
No, actually.
No?
Mm-mm. Her and Pierre have their own little place, like a 10-minute walk away.
Ah, okay. Cool. Then I will say that you could live like probably in you'll have done shows all across this ring, and rather than living like in the same places like the catastrophe that happened earlier today, you could live closer to like the market district, which would be around like here or here in this near the big like the
rectangle
plaza. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Willow, is Willow going to the lab for the evening, or is Willow going to the estate? Because the estate, I think, for Willow would actually be probably in the square.
She's probably going to the lab because she doesn't necessarily care to get quizzed by Tristan if he goes home. And
Okay.
she can load up on shit from the lab before she leaves more easily that way.
Okay. Cool. And then Maddie and Electra are both staying in the camp for the evening, unless you want to have a abode. Okay.
Well, I assume I would have a house somewhere in here, like the family house that my family shares. Somewhere around here, probably.
Around the Coliseum?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then if you had a house there, for those of you who are walking back into the city, roll me a one. This is a special roll. I don't know if the actual roll commands here work, but I'm gonna test it right now. Yeah, roll me 1d50.
Everyone or just Electra?
Everyone who's walking into the city.
Okay, is it slash roll?
/r/roll.
You could also click on the Game Master's one to click as well.
It's not a 1.
It's not a 1.
It's not a 1.
Okay. And Electra, if you're walking into the city for the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get this. Okay, so for Paige and Willow, you end up walking back together towards the city on the hunter's trail here. And as you get to right about like where I imagine you would part ways, partway up through this portion of the city. You both are like immediately made aware of like a group of kids running around, and at this point it's not like the dark of the night, but the sun has set and it has hit that shade of sun where there is a blue-gray tinge upon everything. There's not a explicit curfew, and they are inside the walls of the city, but you see these kids running around. You're not sure if they're just like street urchins or if they're whatever they're doing, but there are a bunch of them, like a small group of probably 5 or 6 of them, and they are rushing towards the city gate, and you can hear in their chatter just like, "I'm gonna do it." "No, you're not." Shit. Like just kind of like teasing each other about something, and like it's not unusual to see kids running around, but this bodes of mischief. Yes.
Oh boy.
So it would be Paige, Pierre, and Willow.
That's right, Pierre is with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're rushing towards the city gate?
Yeah, they are rushing towards the city gate, and they're talking. You can hear amongst the various like jeers and taunts that they're talking about, like they're trying to egg someone on to do something.
Paige is going to follow.
You're walking and these kids just like rushing past. Pierre doesn't really pay attention to them. He just kind of is walking, and then you just heel turn, spin around, and start to follow after the kids. And Pierre just like walking takes another couple steps and just like looks to his side and sees you're not there, then turns around and looks, does like the full 360 and sees that you completely wheeled around to follow these kids to see what they're up to. And Pierre's like, Paige, where are you going?
They told you they're up to something. I have to see what they're going to do. I don't make sure they don't do something stupid.
That is for the city guard to do. Why do you don't need to watch the children?
What? No, but where's the city guard? They're not here.
I don't know where the city guard is. Why don't you ask your boyfriend?
But he's busy. And what if they do something stupid before they get here?
Then it will be someone else's responsibility. Not yours.
Well, I wanted to practice my magic anyway.
Did you say she wanted to practice her magic anyway?
Yep.
Pierre just like blinks and like, what? He does not. There's a part of him that you can roll insight if you like.
Yeah, I imagine Willow hears all of this too.
Yeah, Willow just like stopped and turned to watch the kids go, but was not planning on doing anything because they are not her children.
Mm-hmm.
And then turns even further to watch the drama between the siblings.
How many purples?
Do 2 purple.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So
On the dice on the screen. Sorry,
isn't it fun?
I forgot about it.
So you like. There's a moment where you say you want to practice magic, and Pierre gets this like visible, not nauseous look on his face, but there is like a contorted look in his face where he is like, and he doesn't say anything, but he takes a second. It takes him like a half second to compose himself. He's not known for having the most adept poker face. But he shakes his head and just goes, what do you want to practice magic now for? On what?
I'm distracting the kids before they do something stupid. What do you think I mean?
I don't know what you mean. Look, okay, if you are so dead set on... He just kind of waves in the direction of the kids who are, like, hustling in the distance, and you can see now that they have... A couple of them have, like, some type of stick, or like some kind of wooden dowel or a rod or something. You're not sure if it's like a wooden sword or whatever, but they have sticks that they are waving around. A few of them do, and he's like, if you want to use magic to make them be more responsible, then I am by all means interested in how you pull this trick off. And he will just sneer and start to follow after you.
You make no sense. Sorry, I just ate a sandwich. It's like, you make no sense. I just distraction and get them, focus on something else and not whatever stupid dick they're doing.
So, if you are following the kids,
she is going to turn to Willow. Be like, Willow, are you heading home? Or are you joining?
Willow was initially 100% disinterested in these children. It's not her problem, and she is not maternal in any way, shape, or form. But now you are making it into a bigger deal. And you can see her kind of look past you down the road, and she just fixes her coat and sighs. I suppose we can deal with this. Nothing else. I can use a little bit of fire to make sure that they turn back around.
Is this a good backup plan?
To
It's a good plan.
maybe plan C or A, maybe something a little bit further down the list.
Some other that maybe, a different one, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, let's go there very fast.
Okay, so you're chasing down these kids to see what shenanigans
Willow
they're.
is not running. She will
Mhm.
walk swiftly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Paige isn't gonna run, but she's going to. I imagine she already has to walk at a faster pace than others because her legs be short.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like her speed walking is like just keeping pace with
Gotcha.
normal walk.
So you are following these kids as they are rushing down towards the city gate. You know that the city gates are patrolled by guards, but it's usually very light. It's meant to be like 1 to 2 guards at most at every other gate, so that there's at least someone looking out. But they're not always super rigorously staffed. Plus, there are probably people pulled away to go and patrol the city because of the ghouls. So, knowing that, you see up ahead that there's one guard standing there. His back is towards the actual city itself, and he is facing the closing gate. And they usually leave the gate like not locked and secured up tight, specifically for the reason of like people who are out late and they are getting back late, they want to let them in. But the guard closes the gate most of the way, and then is standing there kind of at rest. And of those 5 kids you saw running around, 5 or 6 kids, you see the group of them, all but one, like divert and rush down behind a building, and then one of them is like up front with like some kind of he's holding something in his hand. But this lone kid is runs up to this guard and starts to say something. And if you want to hear what the kid is saying, you can roll me perception checks at 2 purple.
Damn, her ears.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
It's the sound of children. Yuck.
Yep.
Yeah, they're kind of nasally, high voiced. Like these are kids who are maybe 11 to 13, the eldest of them. But
that annoying age.
Yeah. So you can hear the kid like frantically saying something. Like, oh my god, blah, 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 and you can't really make out any meaningful words from the kind of just frantic gibberish that he is saying. But the guard, in his posture, goes from like
Paige
kind of
make it out?
Yes, Paige can make it out.
Okay.
But the guard, like as he's listening to the kid, gets more intense goes from a relaxed stance to like very like lean forward and takes a knee. Paige, you can hear this exchange. The kid is saying, like, runs up to the guard and says, "Hey, mister, I think I saw a ghoul or one of those like monster guys, and he saw him running around in the dark, and he's like pointing to an alleyway in the opposite direction of the ones his friends hid behind." And the guard is taking this very seriously. So the guard like takes a knee, and they are having this exchange like, "Okay, where did you see him? Okay, over there. Can you show me where? And once I get over there, you need to go home, like right away." And the kid's like, "Oh, okay."
Willow, I imagine her just like frantic, saw the exchange going on, immediately looked towards where the boys ran off to, and she is just gonna go casually lean in the corner at the end of that alley.
Ooh.
Oh, so you're going to like be
Box
between
them in.
those kids?
Yep, box them in. Because here's Paige's thinking is go talk to the guard and be like, "Hey, look over here." And if Willow boxes them in, we can round them all up at once.
Willow just casually leaning on the like shoulder to the corner of the alley, looking down the alley, arms crossed, and just checking. We'll let the let me double check what she has here. Yeah, she has a flame sprayer and a machete on her hip. Just like move long jacket out of the way so that they can see that.
So you start to like maneuver into that alleyway, and initially they're kids. They look at you and they're just like, "Ew, old person," and they don't care. And then you casually move your jacket out of the way a little bit and reveal the weaponry at your side. And now all of a sudden the kids are like, "Oh." Some of them are enamored and like stricken by how cool it looks. Others of the little bunch of them are a little bit worried and concerned. If you want, I will let you make either a cool or a coercion check to give them the impression you're hoping to give them. And it would be with 1 purple.
Decently good at that one. Let's go with coercion.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, so the kids who are initially like very impressed and excited about how like, "Ooh, cool weaponry, are you?" And then they look up and see that Willow is casually leaning against the wall. Does Willow have like for lack of a better term, resting bitch face? Is she just like casually looking at them with this just distant, detached vibe, or is she giving them like a coy look?
I imagine she is not particularly good at hiding her expressions. So it is very much this like kind of smirk that like, I know what you're trying to do. I know mischief when I see it. Do you want to have this confrontation right now?
So while you are leaning against the wall there, you can roll me vigilance really quick, Willow. Also at 1 purple. Yeah. So you can see these kids. 3 of them have little wooden sticks that the branches are broken, and it's kind of like been whittled or shaped to look almost like a sword. At least that's what you imagine. It's a bit too long for them to pretend it's a wand. But they are holding them like swords, and then 1 or 2 kids have in their fists what look to be like little like steel jacks, like the thing that you would play, like
Marbles with.
yeah, exactly. And they have those in like a clenched fist.
And what exactly would all of you be doing here?
Let's see. I'm gonna take your coercion, and I'm gonna roll that against their. Let's see.
Deception.
Yes. It's not gonna be good, but I get to use the real dice I have.
Ooh, I can hear the click clacks.
So they got nowhere. The possibly eldest, or at the very least like tallest amongst the kids there, this like little blonde-haired kid, he like takes a step forward and has his little stick out, and he's like is trying to have a brave face, and he just goes, "Hey, none of your business. We're just playing, all right? Whatever."
Whatever. No, it is awfully late to be playing. Especially when your friend is trying to distract the guard.
You mentioned distracting the guard, and then the kids all of them get like wide-eyed, like you caught onto their plan. It's not a very subtle plan, but you have successfully outmaneuvered them in this context. And they all look very shocked. Like, quick flashback to Paige, as that little kid is distracting the guard, or trying to. What are you doing as he tells the guard, like, there's a ghoul over there?
Oh, she's joining this conversation.
Oh, she's joining it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
okay.
like, she sees this kid obviously lying to this guard, and she's like, yeah, no. She's gonna walk right up to this conversation. Invite herself in.
Yeah, you walk up, the guard, like, looks at you, just raises an eyebrow, and, he doesn't say anything immediately. The little kid just, like, stammers for a second and stops. And the guard will be like, Miss, is there something I can help you with?
No, but there's something I could help you with. You see, this kid is lying to you?
Pierre is standing beside you, Paige, and he is, like, raises an eyebrow in, like, surprise. The guard also raises an eyebrow in surprise, and the kid, like, is suddenly looking a little bit like he got caught with his pants down.
Yes, you see, I don't think this kid will get in trouble. He's just being, stupid little kid things. But I don't want you to, waste your time investigating something that's not there. If you look over there, there's a whole group of them. I think it's a prank on you. But I don't want you to waste your time. You are a guard, but, tasked with protecting the city. And I think that this kid and all the other kids should be sent home, yes?
Is that so? And the guard looks down at the kid now, and all of the seriousness has been directed towards the child. And the child is now like, no, I swear, I really saw him. He's over there. And points in a slightly different direction, but still vaguely in the same way. And is... Oh, there's Cody. But the little kid is like frantic to try and get like the scent thrown off his tail. And Pierre will reach down and like he is going to try to swipe something out of this kid's hand really quick.
Please tell me Pierre is the rogue of the group.
Honestly, it would make sense
Mhm.
with
So-
their backstory.
Hello, Cody.
Hello.
You are
Hi.
just in time.
Morning,
Morning,
sunshine.
Starshine.
So this kid, like, is pointing with one hand and looking at the guard, trying to convince him, and Pierre leaning around to the other side where the kid's hand is like clenched in a fist. Pierre will like reach down and snatch his hand and get him to drop whatever's in his hand, and he drops a bunch of metal jacks. And then Pierre just like raises like his eyebrows go up and he just goes, "Oh, I see what you are doing." And he sweeps them up, and the kid's like, "Hey, those are mine." Like wipes his nose a little bit. Paige, if you want, you can make me a. Let's see. You can make me a lore check or a
Look,
streetwise check.
I will take Streetwise.
And it would
How
be
many?
one purple.
One purple. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
One success.
Perfect. That's all you needed. So you know that like there's obviously like different marbles, like games of like marbles or jacks or whatever kids will play, but there is a game that you have heard about growing up called Bats and Jacks. And Bats and Jacks is exactly what it sounds like. It is a game where you take a stick or a baseball bat or something, and you hit a metal jack, like a baseball, and you hit it into the woods. And stories are tossed around of people who hit jacks into the woods to upset the fairies and scare them off. But that is it's one of those really stupid kids games where it's probably more dangerous than it has any right to be, like needlessly dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a children's game, quote unquote, that has gotten a bad rep because as time has gone on, it's become more and more dangerous to do shit like that. And
Especially at
you and
night.
Pierre know about this game. Yeah, especially at night.
Especially at night.
So
Just look at this, and you're like, really? Bats and Jacks at night?
Pierre like counts out Pierre counts out 5 different sets of metal jacks, or not sets, 5 individual metal jacks, and then looks at the kid and then just puts a hand on his hip and just goes, "And I suppose your friends over there have the bats? Because if you were caught with a bat trying to convince a guard to run away and go look at something, it would be a bit too obvious."
Oh,
The
but
kid
it's
is
actually
like-
your hand and not be obvious at all.
This kid is like panicking. Like looks at the guard, looks at Paige, looks at Pierre, looks at the guard. He's just gonna try to run.
No.
Yeah, he immediately like looks at everyone and then turns tail and tries to bolt. So if you want to try to grab him, yeah, go ahead, grab it. That would be a coordination or athletics check.
I'll take coordination. It's slightly better.
Mm-hmm.
She's not the fastest. How many purples?
1 purple. He is a little baby.
She is also very little, unfortunately.
Perfect. So you, with that little threat, you reach down and like as he starts to turn, you grab the collar of his shirt, and it like he stumbles for a second and is like one leg extended forward and one leg holding him up, and he's just like, ah, and immediately starts to cry.
Hey, no, it's okay.
This
Don't
whole
cry.
Pierre is just like, oh, none. And then the guard is just
No.
like rubbing his face.
Hey, no. Look at me. It's okay. Don't cry. You want to make sure that you're not going to, get hurt.
He is crying, and like through the blubbery tears, you can hear him say, "I was gonna, but my friend said I wouldn't do it, and then they said that if I didn't, I would be a chicken, and the fairies would eat me, and I was gonna." He's just inconsolable child sobbing.
No, it's okay. And Paige is gonna hug. Hey, no, you're not just checking out for not wanting to endanger yourself or your friends. It's something very stupid. Doing stupid things like that, that's the more chicken way to do things,
He is like smearing his snot out of his face, and it's very like little kid crying at a fair and just does not know what to do. But you are calming him. You can roll me a charm check with 2 purple because he is very sad.
Let me just double check all my shits. I can add a blue to charm. You said 2 purples or 2 purples, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is black. Sorry, let me turn off my dark mode for a second. Yeah, that's black. I can decrease from. Okay. So I'm going to roll charm. Turn it back on. That one. You said 2 purple, and I add 1 blue because of my sense emotions ability.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine she has started pulling out handkerchiefs, magician style.
Yeah, there you go. So with that, he has started to like he's not blubbering, crying, and talking a lot anymore. He is just like big teary eyes, just like snorting, just sniffing up his snotty tears. He's calming down. The guard is very much like, wow, this was a lot. Flashback to Willow. The rest of the kids there, right about as you call them on like, yeah, your friend over there is distracting the guard. It's about that point where the kid starts to cry, and the group of kids are like, they look up at Willow, and they are all immediately going to turn and run down the alleyway, which Willow, from where you are standing. This alleyway leads out and around a corner into a gated area.
So they're further trapping themselves.
It's a dead end.
Correct. It's a dead end.
She's just gonna casually walk down the alley and lean down the further corner.
I just love the 2 different approaches. One is comforting a crying child, the other is terrorizing a group of them.
Little shits. So you walk down the alleyway, and you more like saunter down the alleyway, and then when you get to the end and turn the corner and see that they are faced with yet another dead end, they are all like panicking. 2 of them look like they're about to cry. The other 3 are like, quick, help me up. And they start to like make a really, really clumsy human pyramid as they try to scale the wall.
She is just going to whistle very sharply.
You whistle, and all of them immediately freeze.
She'll hold out a hand, kind of giving the come here, give me gesture. We'll just very calmly say, bats, please.
Roll me another coercion check, and you can add a blue to this one.
1 purple, 2 purple?
This will be 1 purple.
Ah! No.
So I will say, you hold out your hand for the bats, and all of them start looking at each other, and they look towards the big kid who's the leader. Like, at least has sort of taken the role of leader. And he, like, looks at them, and there's this stalemate between that kid and you. And he's like, "What are you gonna do with them? These are our bats. We made them fair and square."
Oh no. Let me roll this and see what type of poor decision making I'm making today. Where's my dice roller? There it is. Yeah, no, that's the correct roll. I would like to use Willow's weird
Mm-hmm.
to make a little thorns. Not a lot, but a few little thorns come out of where they're holding the bats to prick them.
Okay. Roll me a weird check, and this will be at 1 purple because it's utility.
Splinters are a bitch.
Yeah. So all of the bats, they're all wooden, and you just can, even in the thrall of the city, you are able to feel that little connection to nature you have next to those now like dead pieces of wood. And with just like the slightest effort and twitch of your eyebrow, one kid just like, ow, and, like, drops the bat, and it clinks to the ground, and there are just ever so tiny, imperceptibly small thorns, like rose thorns, that have sprouted and broken out through the wood. And then another kid's like, ow, 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 and they all drop their little bats.
And after the last one has dropped the bat, she'll kind of straighten up and give a little nod and step out of the way, kind of motioning down the alley. I would advise you run very fast before the guard catches up.
All of the kids, but the de facto leader, they all immediately sprint. And the last one is that tall blonde-haired kid. Tall. He's still very short. He's shorter than Paige, but tall of the children. He like hesitates for a second and looks at you, and roll me a deception check at 2 purple, Willow.
Let me double check if I have some shit for this. All my things are everywhere. That's going to add an advantage. The danger of the ooze shiny method of buying
So many talents. So many.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we're signing up for.
Actually, that was only custom one. Yeah, so I guess I will use one of my talents to give myself an advantage on this.
Mm-hmm.
But I have nothing that's going to help. So 2 purple?
Correct. Okay. So there is that little kid. You, you're not certain, but there is like the tiniest little like glint in his eye, and he looks down at the bats that now have sprouted thorns, and he looks up at you, and there is just a slow dawning on his face that goes from like, I don't like you, you're an adult, to wait, are you an adult? And then it turns into, are you this fearful, like, questioning look of, are you a witch? And he doesn't say anything, but his face betrays the emotion, and he goes from this defiant, like, I can fight an adult, to terrified, and he just fucking bolts.
Willow will just kind of frown a little bit, but will not say anything and will not further antagonize. And we'll just go pick up the bats by the sword ends, the non-thorn ends. And we'll walk back down the alley to where she is, like, in view of the guard and Paige and Pierre, and just kind of wave these, like, 4 or 5 bats towards them before dumping them into whatever trash receptacle is nearby. After they've seen the scattering.
Yeah, like, after you have started to comfort that little, like, kid who is pushed into trying to distract the guard, Paige, there's a couple seconds go by, and then you see the whole gang of kids who ran down the alleyway sprinting out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the last one 5. And then you see Willow walking out with 4 wooden bats in her hand, just waving them triumphantly, and tossing them into a nearby bin. This guard, again, still looks exhausted. Just like rubs the hand through his, like, over his face and back through his hair, and just goes, "Oh boy. Okay, well, thank you for catching these little kids."
Trying not to say shits. Of course. Has the kid calmed down by now?
He's mostly calm. He's still
Okay.
very snotty.
Okay. Well, Paige has probably given him a few handkerchiefs from her sleeve, and she's gonna go into her other sleeve. She's gonna pull out, like, a flower.
You pull out a flower, and the little kid, like, looks at it and then just, like, tilts his head. And he will awkwardly take it. He's not sure what to do with it, but he does take it, and part of his sadness has been replaced with, like, confusion at where you got it from.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we have to look out for the little ones. Make sure they don't do anything stupid and put themselves in danger. And you're not going to do this again, correct?
Kid just, like, shakes his head really, really fast back and forth, and just like, mm-mm.
You
Can I go
promise? I want a pinky promise that you're not going to do this again.
He, like, blinks for a second, and then looks at the guard, and then looks at Pierre, both of whom are, like, arms crossed. Like, the guard is, like, looking at him like a disappointed dad, and Pierre is looking at him just like, oh, you. The kid will hold out a pinky to Paige.
Okay, good. Can't make pinky promises, you know? And you don't have to do stupid dares to prove yourself. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone.
He just blinks and wipes his nose a little bit. And he nods, just, I'm sorry. Could I have my jacks back? And Pierre just crosses his arms and just goes, none. He looks sad, but he's like looks at Paige now for permission to go.
Okay, bye-bye. Get home safe. Get some sleep. It's late.
The guard turns around, goes to the gate, which was not completely closed and locked, and he then closes and locks it. He's like, not opening this door for the evening.
Just to be smart, Teen Jojo. I think.
Well, thank you for that. Nice.
Yes, kids can be stupid. I know. You know, we were kids. We were stupid.
Pierre shrugs and just goes, I still think you are, I think you are still a kid sometimes.
No. Shut up. None. Okay, Monsieur Card, have a good evening. Just see you at some point later, maybe. Bye-bye.
He waves, and as Paige, you are walking back. Both Paige and Willow, roll me weird checks.
Oh? How many purples?
No purple.
No purples. Oh, shit. Oh, shit!
Okay, so you both walk back. Paige, as you're walking and like reconvening with Willow, you get like it is a sensation, like a tingling kind of numbness. You know when you sit on your arm for too long and it goes numb and prickles? It's like that, but it's not in your arm. It is like almost like a cloud that kind of passes through your head. And Willow, you get much the same feeling. It feels like it kind of weaves around for a second. And Willow, in your mind, you hear very, like, clear, or rather not hear, but you feel very clearly the stirring of a otherwise very, very quiet thing in your head. And there's only one single word that is more present in your mind as you reconvene with Paige and Pierre. And this quiet part of your mind that rarely ever speaks up, regardless of where you are in the world, it pipes up just enough to say, familiar. And that feeling just washes over you. And as sudden as it was there, it is now gone.
What did it say?
Familiar.
Familiar, okay.
Lizz's eyes kind of narrow for a moment, but she is not going to say anything or more outwardly react. She just kind of looks over Paige and Pierre and gives them a little nod and gestures down the road again. I think we should try this again.
Yes, it's very late. I'm sleepy.
Very much. Pierre nods and just goes, yes, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. I think we are working at the shop.
What are you talking about?
Is there not a show? I forget.
No, we said we were going to do the thing. That, what was her name? Ok? She was saying we should go to meet at the cemetery.
He kind of scratches the back of his neck and just goes, well, okay, I guess if that is what we are doing, I suppose that we should get some sleep soon then.
Sleep's very good. You don't want to be tired. We took it to Bali, so you can't sleep in.
Very well. Let's go. And you begin walking back towards your respective homes. Again.
Mm-hmm. And to give a cheerful wave goodbye. I was like, hey, bye-bye, Willow. See you tomorrow.
Well, we'll just kind of give almost like a two-finger salute type wave. As she turns the corner, she has much further to go.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and as you all walk back to your respective homes, Willow going to the lab, you see slumped over on the front desk there, Eustace, who has fallen asleep with some amalgam of just scrap in front of him. It's not the first time you've seen him, like, crash on the front desk.
She'll just, like, pick up the more dangerous things, lock up, turn out the light, and will just, like, drape an extra, like, lab coat over him. It is not worth trying to wake the old man to get him upstairs.
This is true. A wise decision. But you drape that over him, bid him a silent goodnight as you go up to the bed yourself. And Paige and Pierre, you make it back to your private, shared little flat. Not but a few minutes walk from where you call home for your parents actually like do their day-to-day work. And as you all find yourself winding down for the evening, let me see. I need... How do I want to do this?
I'm slightly concerned.
So, Paige and Willow.
Oh boy.
Either one of you, roll me. You can roll me 1d100.
Who's going, Amy? Me
You
or
want to?
I don't care.
I do it. Motherfucker.
Okay.
I should not have done it.
This is... I'm not gonna lie, this is the one that I was kind of hoping to do. So I'm
What?
excited.
No, that means it's bad.
So, as you both go to sleep for the evening, Paige and Willow, you both have very unusual dreams. They are like not visually striking in any particular way for at least you, Willow. It is just a plethora of sensations. This mix of excitement and worry and time and just this complex storm of emotions intertwined with colors and a almost chaotic storm. Paige, however, you have a very unique dream. You find yourself like drifting off into sleep, and as you kind of hit that little bit of lull where you fall into sleep, so to speak, you almost feel like a jolt as something catches you. You know that feeling when you're dreaming of or when you're dreaming and in your dream you trip and then you wake up? It's almost like that sensation. But you quote unquote trip and wake up, and you don't wake up in the place that you last remember being. Where before you were in your flat and surrounded by the familiar things, and you could sit up from your bed and look down towards the way, or like look across the room and see where Pierre would be sleeping. Instead, you wake up and you're still in a flat, but you're in a different flat. It's your bed is about the same size. It's still about a twin-sized bed. But the comforter and the sheets are different. They're a bit darker in color. There's less furnishings that you remember having that were your particular type of like colorful sorts of almost princess-like decor and furnishings are all gone. Instead, there's a desk, there's a bookshelf with a bunch of books, none of which seem particularly familiar to you. There's just a bunch of it's very purpose-driven and less ornate. And you have this moment where you're looking around in this dream, and you're able to get up and wander around the space and just go and investigate some of these things. So you can, I assume you do that. Mm-hmm. And you look around, it's not messy. It's just kind of simple. It's plain. And there's a few jackets and coats, but not just any kind of coats. There's lab coats. And as you are meandering around this space, let's go here. As you are meandering around this space, I think a better description, if you have any details to add, could come from Willow herself. As the room you find yourself in, Paige, though it is unfamiliar to you, it would be powerfully familiar to Willow, as it is her laboratory flat.
Oh, like all the details. Paige is a little nosy. She's very curious and willing to explore.
I mean, it would be kind of Spartan by what you might expect. Just very, very simple, very purpose driven. The like sheets on the bed are very plain looking. They're very high quality, very plain looking. Um, Desk and a chair with a couple of stacks of papers and notes and such on the desk, but not messy stacks. Very, you can tell that there is a purpose behind each stack. Large wardrobe to one end of the room, but it's not got a lot of clothes in it, and most all the clothes look pretty much the same to each other. Just kind of various degrees of varying range of colors, but the same type of clothes over and over again. I think the biggest for what I'm imagining of this time, and I may be wrong in imagining this, but because of the time period that's kind of supposed to be dovetailing off of, the biggest luxury is very clearly meant to be a private bath attached to the room. Of a, kind of standard wooden tub for the area, with copper piping and such. Purpose built, not inherently luxurious in what's inside it, but the fact that it is a private bath to a single room flat. I imagine it would be a little bit weird.
Oh, big bucks over here.
So you're kind of picking and plucking your way across this space, very just curious, passively investigating. And as you go to kind of sweep a hand over some of the things and just look and observe, you notice you're actually standing a little bit higher than you're used to off the ground. And you look down and notice that you're not wearing the clothes you wore when you went to sleep. And the pallor of your skin is slightly different. And you're not entirely sure what's going on until you manage to walk closer to the window. And as you look towards the window, and not out of the window, sorry, as you look towards the window, you notice that your reflection, the person looking back at you, is Willow.
Oh shit.
And there's this hesitation as it starts to set in that you are having a very vivid, visceral dream that you are in Willow's body. You feel your brow start to furrow in thought, and your reflection mimics that. And there's a moment where your reflection tilts its head as it looks at you. And you don't feel yourself doing that. As you are looking at your reflection, it tilts its head the other direction. And as you're about to take a step forward to inspect the window to see if maybe the window's moving or something that's causing your reflection to shift, you hear in your voice, or not in your voice, you hear in the voice of Willow very clearly speaking to you like a whisper over your shoulder. Who are you? and your reflection speaks back to you. Or Willow's reflection, rather. What do you do?
It's fish. I think. I don't know if my mic picked it up. Did it?
I picked it up.
Yes.
Okay.
Your reflection now, you can see it very closely. It walks up closer to the window, but it's very bizarre because you are watching the reflection of this person you know move closer to the actual source of the reflection. It's moving independently of you. And it tilts its head back in another direction. Roll me perception or insight. Actually, just perception. Roll me perception. At 2 purple.
Oof.
Okay. So you take a tentative step forward, and you're examining this reflection of Willow, of the person you're standing in, and behind you, this other voice whispers, distinctly different from the one in the mirror, or the one in the reflection of the window. And it says, "How did you get here?"
I don't know. I go to sleep and then I'm here.
That voice that just spoke did not come from the reflection either. As the reflection,
turn around.
you whirl around and you see on the bed there is a Willow standing there.
How many willows are there?
And sitting there on the bed. And as she sits there, she crosses her legs and sets her hands very primly on her knee. And she tilts her head at you. Her eyes are like a steely gray color. And she just regards you very dispassionately, very analytically. And the reflection you hear from the window, "What do you want?"
Did you say what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I want to go home.
And you spin back around, now seeing the reflection has walked up and put both hands on the window, as if it's trying to peer through the window from the other side. And then you hear again from behind you. It seems as though they're talking asynchronously to keep you from seeing who's saying what as best they can. And the one from behind you, the willow on the bed, says, "Are you gifted?"
depends on if you think it's a gift.
And the reflection one speaks. Do you think it's a gift?
I do. Not everyone. But I do.
And they let this silence hang. And you can just feel them looking at you. Like reading you up and down. Is Paige trying to hide her emotions at all?
Let me flip a coin. No.
No? Okay. Then what would Paige be feeling right at this moment?
She feels very confused and a little unnerved. She's more so freaked out by the fact that they caught on to her. And they're asking if she's gifted. And that's what she's freaked out about. Less so by the weird fucking dream and creepiness. She also feels a little awkward that, like, she's kind of in this person's room that she just met. And they're probably not going to be happy about that fact that she has seen, like, their personal space.
As you are, there's this hanging silence now. The willow on the bed, like, leans forward a little bit. Still legs crossed, and will say, "Are you ashamed?"
Yes, but no. It's complicated.
The willow tilts her head a little bit. And from behind you, the willow who has pressed herself to the window she will say, "What's so complicated? It is a gift. You said so yourself."
But not everyone thinks it's a gift.
The willow on the bed will say, "Is it because you're alone?"
Maybe. Yes, not. It's. I don't want to be a monster. Or people think I'm a monster. But maybe, yes.
The willow in the window says, "Do you think I'm a monster?"
But no, you're Willow. I don't think you're Willow. I think the real Willow is, like, out there somewhere, not in a dream. But I don't think Willow is a monster.
Roll me a weird check at 2 purple.
Okie doke.
Okay. So as you're having this conversation, like, back and forth, you whip your head around, and then you notice that the willow on the bed is looking in a different direction. She's turned her head to look at where the bathtub is, the private little tub. And then you turn back around and see that the willow through the window has turned her head to look towards the tub.
Okay, I guess she turns towards it. There's something interesting going on there, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And so you slowly turn all the way around to look towards the bathtub. And as you do, you see curled up in, like, to make herself small, very, very small, there is a willow who is in the tub. Her back is facing you. She's not wet. She's obviously not. The bathtub is empty. Her clothes are on, and her hair is down, like covering parts of her face. And she sits there, and there's not any noise coming from her, but that silence hangs in the air, and if you look back at either of the other two willows, they say nothing and instead just look to her. And you start to feel this growing pressure. Roll me another weird check at 4 purple.
Oh boy. Oh no. 2 success.
Mm-hmm. So you see this figure in the tub, and she doesn't say anything. She simply goes from, like, hugging her knees, curled up. She lifts her head, and just the act of lifting her head, and she slowly starts to turn and regard you. There is this almost like vertigo sense of a head rush that seems to hit you. Like the ground is shifting beneath your feet, almost. The intensity of this pressure, and this pressure is familiar to you. This is something that you get a little dip of your toe in whenever you use weird magic. But this is a very, very heavy sensation of it. And this thing in the tub is radiating it powerfully. Roll me one more weird check at 2 purple and 2 red.
Jesus Christ. I got a triumph. 3 successes. Holy shit.
You are, like, standing your ground, and you feel this heavy weight press on your shoulders and the top of your head, and it feels like something is pushing down on you, like vertically trying to push you down. And this thing in the tub, it turns now its head only just enough that a single eye peers through the strands of hair and regards you. And roll me one last weird check.
What?
The same. Sorry, 2 red and 2 purple.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Waiting for that fear to pop up. Oh.
1 triumph.
Mm-hmm. And
Gee, what the fuck's up with Willow?
this thing looks at you, and you can't quite see all of its mouth because the mop of hair that is kind of covering its face, very Ring Girl style. She eyes you, and her eyes are this vivid yellow color. Like they seem to almost glow in the darkness now that you can see it. And the only word you can hear she says, she looks almost through you. And for that brief moment, you feel less like you are Paige in Willow's body and that you are being seen as Paige asleep in her bed. This thing penetrates all the way through to who you are, and it whispers very softly, but still perfectly audible to you, familiar. And then this darkness starts to rapidly set in. The room gets darker and darker and darker until the only source of light is the pinprick of yellow eye that existed in that thing in the tub. And then the little bit of yellow winks out. And you have that falling sensation again, and then you jolt up in bed, and you're in your familiar bed. The one with all of the drapery and accoutrement that you're familiar with.
Don't use that word like that. Oh.
Thank you, Joe, for making Paige terrified of Willow for the foreseeable future.
Nah, she's not terrified. You'll see. She like jolt up in bed?
Yeah, you jolt up in bed, like, wide awake, like you just woke up from a nightmare.
What time of day is it?
It's honestly probably like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Witching hour.
Mm-hmm. Is she so, like, adrenaline surge that she can't go back to sleep?
I'll leave that up to you. You could probably... It's at that time of day where you could feasibly go back to sleep if you really tried.
Going to flip a coin. Okay. She's not going back to sleep. Instead, she is going to do her duty as a little sister and make this Pierre's problem.
Pierre, who is still asleep, in a tangle of his bed sheets.
Mm-hmm. She probably, like, she's like, fuck it, I'm not going back to sleep. What the fuck was that? And is just probably going to be up, and she's just getting up now at 3 a.m. for some fucking reason. She's not trying to wake Pierre up, but she's not trying to be too quiet.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, if I'm suffering, so are you. But I'm not going to wake you up. If you happen to wake up, that's, your problem.
Roll me... I'll roll a perception check for Pierre. And we'll see how noisy it has to be for him to wake up. Yeah, no, he's... Whatever you are doing at this hour to get ready for the day, it's not so inherently noisy that he wakes up. You could intentionally wake him up.
Yeah, after like an hour of him not waking up naturally, she's gonna get slightly louder.
Okay, so once you get slightly louder, yeah. So you get a little bit louder, just like, oh, oops, I accidentally just got my clothes on way too loud and made the bed by knocking on the window a little bit or something.
Like, oh no, I shifted the furniture so it bumped into the shelf, and there was a slightly audible bang Oh no, so you're up? Oh wow, you're up. I didn't realize. While you're up.
So there's a slightly audible bang, and then Pierre just like, huh, what is happening? Did I miss something?
No, I'm just, getting ready. You can go back to sleep, but, if you're up, you're up. You might as well get ready.
Oh, he lays back down in bed and puts his hands over his face and just, oh, what time is it?
4. Yeah, I don't know. She just like, I forgot she can't fucking read. It's like, it's early.
It's 9:00.
It's early. It's, a good time to get started on the day.
He like takes his hands off of his face, and you can see he's still awake, staring at the ceiling. He just goes, Paige, why are you not asleep? It is so early. It is still nighttime.
I'm so excited for the thing.
Roll a deception check.
Can I choose to fail this?
You can. I will let you willingly fail it.
Christy's pretty good at it. She also has some other shit to stack on it. It's like, I'd like to choose to fail this one.
Yes, I will let you willingly fail it. And Pierre is like, gets up now at this point. He is very clearly like concerned. Let me see.
Concerned but half asleep.
Yeah, he's got the sleepy, like, kind of fatigued eyes, and he's halfway up. He has his like really ragged pajamas on. And he is like, what is happening? What has happened?
I just, sleep is for the week.
He doesn't say anything really against that, but he doesn't. He is a little bit like very incredulous sounding.
Okay. She's gonna fucking very quickly walk over. He's still sitting up in bed, right?
Yeah.
Alright, move over. Paige is coming in.
You sit down in bed, and there's automatically, like, as you sit down on the bed next to him, he will put his arm over top of, like, Paige and kind of pull her in, and he'll lean his head against her in the kind of comforting gesture. He's like, okay, what is wrong? Tell me.
Okay, because you, like, a master of, investigation, you know so much already, I tell you. I had a, not nice dream. And there's lots to think about. I wouldn't call it a nightmare. Just, close. Like a cousin. Like a, dream, night dream. Dreammare,
He just blinks, and you get the impression that he, on, like, this kind of shoddy amount of sleep, or like being woken up in the state he's in, there's like there's not enough brain power for him to keep up with this. But he just blinks kind of asynchronously and just goes, so you had a little nightmare, like a baby one?
Yes.
Okay, so what happened in this nightmare?
It was about Willow.
He like blinks for a second, kind of straightens himself up a little bit, and just goes, Willow, the woman we met?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Why
I
are
was
you
like,
having dreams about Willow?
I don't know. You think I want to have dreams about people I just meet?
I don't think it is necessarily weird, but I'm not sure. What was in your dream?
I can assure you it was very weird. Okay, you want the whole story? Can you listen? You're awake, right? I didn't wake you up?
He
Did it wake you up?
he is very much like, you are awake, and he kind of grimaces, and then you say, "I didn't wake you up," and he kind of grimaces some more, and he just goes, "I'm awake. Do not worry. It is fine. I'm good. I'm wide awake."
Okay, so here's what happened. And she's gonna tell him everything. Every last fucking detail.
So
She has burrowed herself into his side. She has stolen half of the blanket.
the more you tell him, the more his concern, his demeanor grows from concerned for like the fact that you just had a bad dream and it's really affecting you to like, oh, this is a little bit more than a bad dream. And ooh, excuse me. You finish telling him, and there's a long pause as he is just like processing everything, and just goes, "Ah, that was a lot." And I do not know what all it means, but I'm not sure. It seems strange to ask, but do you know if maybe Willow is? And he just kind of awkwardly holds his hands out in this like shrugging gesture.
Does he like gesture to her?
Yeah, he gestures to you.
And you know as much as I do? We just met her. You were there. I can talk to her tomorrow because we're going to see her tomorrow.
Pierre looks out the window. After you finish telling him like everything that happened and giving him a synopsis, the sun is not out, but it is close to being out. And Pierre looks out the window and just goes, "I think you could you mean tell her today?"
You know, it's the same thing.
Are you worried about it?
Well, a little. Because what if it's just a weird dream that means nothing, and then I go and ask her, and then she starts asking me questions, and then everyone finds out, and then I'm a monster to the city, and I get kicked out, and I have to eat like grass to survive.
He like his arm is still over top of you, and he like pulls her in and kind of ruffles her hair a little bit, and he's like, "I will not let them kick you out of the city and make you eat grass like a common cow."
I'm worried about her. She seemed. Well, I don't know if any of them was like the Willow or like a fake Willow or like a there was lots of Willows, and I don't know if any of them were her or like all of them combined were her or like little pieces. But I'm worried about her. She seemed the parts of her seemed very not happy. So I'm going to talk to her, and if she, doesn't, then I am just asking about, like, this magic, gestures to him.
He scratches the back of his head. I am worried about all of this. I don't know. I am not sure what to do in this situation.
Well, I know, sort of. I know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I should do, but I know what I'm going to do, and that is to talk to her.
Nods.
And worst come to worst, then I am going to, bluff. I do good at that.
Yeah, he nods his head back and forth and just goes, "This is true. Well, I will be here for you. I will support you, and I will keep her from... He shrugs and just kind of goes, selling you out to whomever, and I will protect you from the willows. As best I can.
Hug. Thank you. And
He hugs you back.
in return, I will protect you from, everything else in the world.
He nods and just pats you on the top of the head and just goes, thank you for your bravery. I am forever in your debt. Don't
Yes,
take
of
it
course.
to your head.
What? No, of course not. Things got in my head? No.
Mm-hmm. He pantomimes like sizing your head, like he has his hands out to imply that your head has swollen.
She's gonna just like raise her hands up and just like fucking bat his hands away. She's gonna let out a big yawn. It's like, okay, I think that I can sleep a little bit now. Good night.
You just fall asleep in his bed.
Yeah.
Pierre, you just flip over, having taken the blankets and his bed. Pierre just...
She only took half the blanket, and she's small.
Pierre just falls back. His feet are still hanging off, from the knee. His feet are hanging off the bed, but he will fall asleep on the bottom half of the bed at a T pose intersection to you.
Hey. They're gonna be so fucking tired.
It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm. Wait, that was a lot of page. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I would like a quick bathroom break. I need to get water too. And then we can reconvene, and it would be the next day. And we'll pick up with probably everyone convening in the morning to go to the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Quick 5 minutes.
Z, what the fuck's going on with Willow?
I don't know.
You bullshit, motherfucker. What the fuck's going on with her? The fuck? That thing in the bathtub, it was always referred to as a thing?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's Willow on a bad day.
The fuck? Paige is so concerned. Fucking 2 purples, 2 reds. The fuck? What difficulty is that?
Very, very, very hard. Very scary. I was waiting for a fear to pop up.
Oh, a what?
The opposite of a triumph.
Ah.
That is only on red die.
I got a lot of triumphs this session. And they were all on weird checks.
They have the same weird score.
Mm-hmm. shit. 1, 2. It's a 2. Don't know how to fucking type anymore. That's gonna be an interesting conversation. It's like, so like, how many willows are there?
What do you mean, how many willows? I am Willow. I am the only Willow that I know.
Like, are you sure? Are you like triplets?
I know how many siblings I have. I know because I have to count them to decide how badly I want to argue.
Right. And none of them are like other willows, right?
You've met one of them.
Yeah, but there could be more.
Okay.
Wait, pause. Amy got me distracted. I want to go get my chocolate really fast. 2 minutes. Okay, I return with chocolate.
Okay. So, we are convening on the early morning. It is an all-day hike to get to the cemetery, because it is an old cemetery that sits outside the city. And if I go here, this mark here, that is where the cemetery is.
Is this like a pre or post Weirdening cemetery?
This is a post-Weirdning cemetery, but this was early on during the post-Weirdning. And it was partially made before a lot of important things were figured out about how to properly inter someone into the grave. So there's some retro facilities and things there to make it that both date it and also like exemplify some of the things that are currently being used. Like like they have cages around some of the burial mounds. Mm-hmm. Or not burial mounds, but graves. You're right. A mound is out, like, up, almost above the surface. Yeah, but if you measure this distance from the edge of the tear-marked map, it's about, and each day on this map, a single day is 8 hours of travel at walking speed. So if you go from the edge of Termarkt to the cemetery, it's a long hike. But you can get there and back, and it will be just before dark if you leave at the early morning light. And I assume you guys set out from the hunter's camp, or at least that's like the easiest place to set out from, because it's outside the wall and that's where you're meeting everyone. However, early morning in the hunter's camp, Madigan and Electra, you guys would be preparing to go to meet Hawk. And as you are preparing, you would notice that both Malik and Vincent are geared up more for a longer trip. They appear to be holding like backpacks and other accoutrements, and Ingrid is not present. And Malik and Vincent both inform you, yeah, we've been pulled away on another outing, so I guess we won't be going with you to the graveyard. Not that it's a big deal.
What? We thought we were all going on an adventure together.
I mean, there's other adventures to have, but like you get to be with Hawk. It's not like you need us there.
Well, we don't need you there, but it's more fun.
It would be fun. And Vincent shrugs and just goes, unfortunately, Noose has better plans for us.
Where are you guys going anyways?
Noose wants to investigate a particular part of the mountain pass to the east. She thinks there's some funny business going on.
Like funny, haha, or
Vincent just smiles. And Malik just kind of rolls his eyes and just goes, yeah, everything's funny, haha to you.
easier to live that way. She kind of slings her giant hammer over her shoulder.
Malik and Vincent both have their packs ready, and you can hear like the muster call, which is like a bugle sound for the hunters. And they don't use this very often. They use this to signal like some hunters are going out. And as the muster call goes up, both Vincent and Malik are like, well, there's our bell. We'll be seeing you around.
Good luck. Make sure you kick in a few teeth for me.
And Malik smiles and gives you a 2-finger salute and says, I'll bring you back a weird present.
Wait.
Okay. And Hawk, at this point, has already left. What are you laughing about?
This is Joe being like, I don't want to deal with this many NPCs right now.
This is Joe. We're like, you can't get rid of our boys. Watch Joe as he gets rid of our boys.
Partially just because I can. I can do anything I want. Reality can do whatever I want.
Someone's trying to spite me, I see.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
You know what? I think Hawk's fine. You know, the whole group is fine. I can go with them. Yeah?
Really gonna leave Sister Agneta like that, huh? No loyalty there?
She's all geared up for hiking because of the Lord and avoiding Tristan.
So, you all convene, and this would be Sister Agneta, Electra, Paige, Pierre, Willow, and Maddie to go to the Termarked Outland Cemetery.
don't even get a Lisa? Damn.
Damn.
Lisa does not go on outings. She is a doctor most of the time. Well, she does go on outings, but very
I was gonna
rarely
say,
does she go
we
on
met
those.
her while they were coming back from an outing.
This is true. But she
Liar.
rarely goes on outings.
I see, we're not cool enough.
But listen, you have Pierre. Pierre doesn't even want to be here. Pierre is like, why the hell am I going to a graveyard? This is insane.
Oh man. And because it was mentioned, because he mentioned, now I just imagine that Pierre's more fit to be a rogue. Rather than like fighty.
Pierre is a thief rogue.
Yeah.
Pierre is not meant to be in the field. He is meant to be in the cities,
Yep.
pickpocketing people.
So, you all begin to make your way out to Termarkt Outland Cemetery. And this is where the real fun begins. So, contrary to what the map would have you believe, there are woodland areas that are closer than these greenery would have you think. So you will be passing through part of the woodland, not the heavy woodland where you have to worry about some really dangerous stuff, but some of the woodland you will pass through, which means we get to roll on the random table,
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
which is the most fun. Let me see. So, who wants to roll? We need 2 rolls to make.
Okay, go
I
on.
nominate one of those 3.
Yeah, the 3 that have not really been able to do anything thus far.
Mm-hmm.
I just Piper
I-
Cody.
I volunteer Cody and Piper as tribute.
See, bitch, you're the one that was talking last night.
Yeah,
about how I
last
like
night.
rolling things, but I never like want as bitch.
So, since Iris
Yeah.
volunteered, Iris can roll 1d20.
Do we have a Piper and a Cody?
I'm here.
I'm also here.
Hello.
One of you guys got to roll 2.
Yeah, we need 2 rolls.
So we need 1d20 from an Iris and 1d100 from either a Cody or a Piper.
Hang on, I got the dice that Z sent me.
Hell yeah.
A
Would you like to roll, Cody?
Nah, go for it.
doesn't want the responsibility.
I don't want that on my conscience.
Okay, so I got the 10s and the 9s. Or the D10 and the D100. Or the percentile. 98.
That's either really good or really fucking bad.
Wait, we're rolling 100s, not d20s? My bad.
You're rolling
One
a
D- you-
D20, one D100.
We needed a d20. Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
needed both.
Okay.
The d20 is for something else. Let's see. Do-do-do-do.
I will say, unironically, out of the dice sets that I sent out to y'all, the one that you have, Piper, I think is the prettiest, and I wish they just made that in different colors, because that's what I would have bought for everybody.
It's so cute.
You got a 98?
Yes, she got 98.
Okay. Yikes.
I think
Whew.
my favorites were the one I sent to Piper, the one I sent to Mandy, and then Claire's. It was a pretty yellow.
Alright, after the session, I demand dice tax pictures.
Ooh.
I don't like that.
Oh boy.
Okay. This is a weird one, but I dig it.
Seems
So
fitting.
let's do Okay. So as you guys are walking through the woods, it is the early morning hours. Um, it's a nice day. It's brisk, quite cold because it's still early in the year. Um, and you have set out at 6, basically early 6 a.m. hours, so that by the time you get out there and meet with Hawk, you'll be able to hike back, and it will still be daylight out by the time you return. So as you hike, it is just a really nice. Let's do actually some good travel music. It's very like luscious forest and like a deep green, like windy kind of swept. I think the not tundra. What is it
Taiga.
called? I can't remember the name. Yes, taiga. Thank you. It's so much cooler than tundra, but it is a windswept taiga of this like landscape, and you can see the snow-capped mountains that exist behind Termarkt. And as you are hiking, you see like lots of just. Oh yes, all strain is healed, and for wounds, you would have healed 1 wound over the course of the night, plus any extra that you would heal if you had certain benefits, because you heal 1 wound every day.
Thank you, God.
You're welcome. But as you are walking, the trees do not enclose in around you in this area, but there are still, like, the woods are still present. It's a lot more like walking on like a nice nature hike, as opposed to being lost in the woods. And on this nature hike, you just get to see a lot of the older parts of the city where things used to be and where things were packed up and moved. There's some abandoned structures and houses that you get to see along the way, a couple of stony buildings that were no longer used. It became Termarkt kind of ended up where it was because it was sat right on the river that flowed down from the mountain pass, but was far enough from the mountains out of the thicker part of the woods, while still getting like the benefit of like the protection in terms of weather and just general. Ew, Winnie, did you poop? Sorry, it smells really bad all of a sudden. I don't know. Do you not smell that? Dang it. Winnie's a stinky ass boy.
Sitting here listening to
Anyway.
a good description, like down for it, and then all of a sudden, sniff. Did you poop? I never heard the sniff before it.
I'm just sitting here trying to have a description, and I was like, huh, smells bad. That was probably just some random miscalculation of my nose, I guess. No, apparently it just is. That is a feature of the house at this time. Anyway, before I was nasally interrupted. Yes. You actually do get like the fresh piney and woodland scent in game, and it is. I'm trying to hit all 5 senses, so it's a little painful having like that one in particular. But yeah, you hear the like babbling brook as you move and hike through the slowly inclining hills and back little pathways out through Termarkt. it feels like a gradual shift, but you don't really notice it until you are well away from the city and you can like look back over your shoulder and see Termarked, and it is an impressive feat of human ingenuity and just general
Stubbornness.
stubbornness to like not let nature beat us down too much. But like seeing the city rested in the valley of a very beautiful like northern-ish part of the countryside, and it's pretty picturesque. The hunter's camp from the position you're walking is totally eclipsed and cannot be seen at all by as Termarked is like between you and it. But just walking, it's both a reminder to like hunters and non-hunters alike that that nature is intimidating in its own right, but it's also strikingly beautiful. However, I say that as you are walking, everyone roll me vigilance checks with 2 purple.
Would this tie to hearing or smell at all?
I will say it could tie to hearing.
Okay. And you said 2 purple?
And 2 purple, yes.
Okay.
Metallic. Okay. So, Electra with the triumph and the success, as you are walking forward. Oh, first, Madigan with a single threat. You think you hear something, and you get like on edge for a second, and as you get on edge, your foot catches like a rock, and you stumble forward and take 1 strain.
Ow. What the
Yes.
frick put that rock there?
You kick it and it just sails. But as you are hiking up the hill, it's like a pretty steep grade of hill. Or not super steep, but steep enough that you can feel it. It feels like you're walking up that incline, but it's not like you're struggling to stand up. Electra, though, with your roll, you managed to see something that ekes out from the tree line, and you've never seen one of these yourself, but you know of these. I've heard other hunters talk about them. You see from the edge of a tree line, it is about 12, 13 feet high, and it's this like pole with a skull on the top of it, an idol of some kind, and it is wrapped in bramble and leaves with twine tying things to it to adorn this idol. There are weapons that you are not sure if they were stolen hunter weapons or something of some other nature, but you can see it probably about a football field away, and it just looms there, this idol to some unknown being on the edge of the darker part of the woodland. There's offerings placed at the base of it. What would you like to do?
Don't touch anything. Arletra has a couple throwing knives, so she'll pull one out and she'll rest one next to them, and then just keep going.
Wait, like hold a throwing knife in your hand, like at rest.
Yeah, and then like place it among the other weapons.
Oh, so you're leaving an offering.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you go up close to it and see this thing, it like seems to loom over you, and it's silently unmoving, but still feels kind of expectant. There are idols to various creatures or gods or other things that have been made, and whether or not they're made by people who have left cities and gone into the woods of their own choice and become crazed or mad, or whether they're made by fey creatures or something, is difficult to say. But you leave an offering, and I will give you one additional. I will let you boost, or not boost. What the word? What is it? Upgrade. I will let you upgrade the next check you make for free, since you left an offering.
Okay, Willow investigates. She's not picking anything up,
Mm-hmm.
but she wants to take a very good look at what she can get to.
Yeah, you can, like, walking right up to it is imposing, but you are more than free to investigate. Go ahead and roll me a perception check. I will also accept hunting or survival with 2 purple.
Take that hunting. 2 purple.
Okay. So looking at this, you can see that. Let me roll this. Yeah. So as you are investigating, you can determine that the offering of this creature, or part of the offerings of this to this thing, are pieces of corpses that have been stitched and like left or stitched together and attached to it, like bird's feet or like part of a snake.
And
It's
she
a
recognize
little
any of the little
unsettling.
figurines that are left.
For some of the little figurines, what you can gather from them, they're not necessarily recognizable, but there is some type of writing that you can see. It is not in a language that you can readily recognize. It looks almost like kanji of some kind. But you're smart enough to know that this is not human writing. This is some kind of like animalistic, almost like etching or scratching of some kind into a few symbols.
She will take out a little notebook and record down whatever symbols that she can see without disturbing too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Is anyone else interacting with this living, or this corpse idol?
Nope. That Paige is more interested in using Pierre as a shield to peer around him, and she is watching Willow like a fucking hawk. She's investigating Willow.
All you see is Willow, like, knelt down, like, maybe having at most, like, used a pencil to, like, lift something so she can see something a little bit better before letting it just kind of fall again. And just, like, recording in a journal, occasionally muttering to herself, like, oh, that's interesting. Not seen that before. That to be something we can, like, kind of, like, maybe if we go back through Aramaic or something. Just muttering to herself.
Just imagine Paige is just whispering a play-by-play of what she's doing to Pierre. But that's all she's doing. Are Maddie and Agneta doing anything?
Maddie and Agneta, are you at all interacting with this strange, tall, partially wooden, like bison skull left idol at all?
I don't think I have anything that I could leave. That's the problem. But Maddie will just kind of inspect it and kind of stand next to Agneta a little protectively. But just kind of like, huh. Wow. I don't think I've come across that yet.
As a hunter, you would have also heard tales of wilderness idols left in the name of gods or creatures that you have never heard of. But they are not common, but this is one of the more benign things to run into, as it's usually left as not a warning, but like a thing of like good omen, like to protect or defend a place from something. Almost like a ward. Willow, as you are inspecting it, there's a tiny little inkling in the back of your mind of just like the urge to make an offering and to leave something present is very, very strong.
Kind of tilts her head and pauses in what she is doing and kind of like stares for a moment. And sir, we have not been playing this game long enough for us to have shit to leave.
You can do something like if you were to take like a leaf of some kind and carve it into a shape. An offering can be something like that too.
I have an idea for Maddie, actually. This might sound really stupid, though. But she will take a piece of like cloth, kind of like rip it off of something, right? She'll look at her claws and snip like her pinky claw. She'll take that, a ration, and maybe like a fistful of her hair, and kind of wrap it all up into the bundle.
Okay. Yeah. So you make like a little ramshackle tie of bits and pieces of yourself as a beastling, and amend and tie it to a ration and leave it. Like ration being like a piece of hard tack, like bread.
It's jerky.
jerky.
She always has jerky on
Acceptable.
her.
So you leave this symbol on the ground, and you too, as you made an offering, you can get an upgrade to the next check you make.
Nice.
Guess Willow would take a. Wait, she's taking a handkerchief.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like watching Maddie for a second as she's kind of running this handkerchief through her fingers. And will just kind of grimacing to herself take a strand of her hair, because she's got it getting tied into this kind of messy bun up on top of her head, but she not trying to be super fancy because she knew she was going to be out in the wilderness. It's just frayed all over the place. It's got like strands just hanging out, and we'll take one that is like kind of in her face and just cut it and wrap it into a little knot in the center of the handkerchief, and just very carefully place it off to the side. And
Okay.
we'll stand up and just tuck her things away again. It's this very kind of, oh, that should do, I suppose.
There is a tingle of satisfaction in the back of your brain that feels something akin to like whimsical little bits of laughter.
Are we supposed to leave something?
I am not sure. It seems like everyone is leaving something, but I do not have anything to give. I could give. Oh, whoa, wait. Give me your thing. Your magic hanky.
What? How many?
Just one. You do not need more. You do not need a bunch of hankies.
I don't know. It's a big thing. You could use a lot of them. But okay, here's one.
He takes one of the hankies that you pull out from your like magical, ever lengthening magician's hanky chain, and he will take it and like fold it up and reach into his bag and pull out. He packed some snacks, and he'll put like a little bit of some granola into the hanky and like tie it in a little knot, and then place it just at the base of the little pole.
You know what I think they don't have here?
What?
She's gonna pull out like a spare deck of cards.
You're leaving a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have like all this food and all this weapons. What is he going to do when they get bored? Here, look, a deck of cards for like a game to play.
Pierre, like, watching this, just the logic to him seems sound. He just kind of shrugs, goes, "It makes sense to me. Maybe they don't want to fight. Maybe they are peaceful."
Exactly. If we just give them weapons, and they could be like only fights, you know?
Yeah. He shrugs.
Sound logic.
So you leave a spare deck of playing cards, and if you docked that or anything like that from your inventory, you are free to add that you get a free upgrade to your next check as well.
Because I don't like specifically have an inventory of a deck of cards, could it just be like flavor and she doesn't get the benefit?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I will still count it as you getting like a small benefit, because I think it's only fair, because they're like I think everyone may have docked something or not, but either way, yeah, you made an offering, so that's fair.
Yeah, just more thematic that she did something.
This being dark-sided stuff, and not an offering to the church, Agneta will just say a prayer for everyone's sake.
Mm-hmm. You say a prayer, bless the group, and with that, you have made your offerings and continue to move on. Does anyone have a vigilance of 3 dice or higher?
I do.
Sister Agneta and Willow, can you roll me vigilance?
Paige should as well.
What difficulty?
Oh, you said 3 or more dice?
Yes, and can you make it at 2 purple?
By the way, I don't know if it was noticed, but Piper isn't feeling so hot, so she had to hop off.
Oh,
I hope she feels better.
yeah, same.
Fucking.
You said
I swear to
two
God,
purple?
Vigilance and me are gonna have a fight.
Don't worry, Agneta's got this.
Yeah,
A
very
prayer.
threateningly.
So, you guys are, at this point, further up the pathway, and it continues to slope upwards and upwards and upwards. As you get to a high point, you look back down the hill, because something in the back of your mind just says to check behind you. And every so often, it's safe to just do a quick look over the shoulder. And you peer over your shoulder and look back down the hill, and you can see the wood line grows heavier around where that idol was standing. But you look back down and you can see the skull that looks something similar to like a bison skull on the top of this idol. This idol bends down and picks up the offerings with thin wooden fingers and scoops them all up into its hands and then tiptoes back into the woodland and disappears. And that, watching this thing that you thought was otherwise not alive, having been alive the whole time, unsettles you very deeply, and you will take 1 strain. But it seems to be pleased with the offerings at the very least.
Agneta's not built for this shit.
Oh boy.
Okay.
You look like you've seen a ghost.
I believe she is just a little, out of sorts. Church doesn't give them much fresh air, from what I understand. Certainly not by my brother's pallor.
Well, it is a long hike, too.
Okay. And you continue on. Getting higher into the mountains, it grows foggy. Like a little bit of mist starts to settle in as you get higher in elevation. It's not so thick of fog and mist that you can't see, but vision is a little obstructed if you were looking for finer details. But as you continue your approach, you see through a thicket of trees ahead a rough stone wall that marks the outside edge of the cemetery. And there's no iron grate, as this was before there was any real like forge set up. But there is the very obvious like stone mossy cobble like wall, and when you look inside, you can see that the ground is not flat. It's kind of hilly, and so there are certain graves and burials that are built on top of a hill and certain ones that are built on the bottom of the hill. But for the most part, this entire area is just large crafted bits of stone. There are many graves here. As you can imagine, the early days of the post-weirdning were a bit of a struggle to get through, especially if you were not prepared for some of the things that were out there. If anyone wants to make me a lore check to get some more information about this cemetery, you can make a lore check with 2 purple.
Just really fast.
I shall be saving my upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely do not think Paige would be aware of these things. Because I imagine this is the sort of stuff you would need to read.
Mm-hmm. Correct. This
Yeah.
is a history lesson, and if you
Yeah.
had access to a library, you could find it. But if you didn't, you're gonna have to hear about it from oral history.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of tracks for Sister Agneta and Willow. For Sister Agneta, this is closer to church history. So, and for Willow, this is something that like just goes into times that her family probably were closer to in proximity. But Agneta and Willow, you are both aware from different perspectives of this cemetery that this was an area that was built whenever there was an exodus from a different area on the other side of the mountains. There used to be a settlement on what would be this side of the mountain range, but as people were driven out of that settlement, they came here, and this is where they had set up shop for a little bit, and it became untenable to stay here after so many days and months, because not only was the ground a little bit uncooperative, it was also just a dangerous area to set up. More dangerous than what could have been. But they kept this area for the cemetery before they really understood how to inter people in the ground with better methods. And they just moved further away from it with the hope that if they buried someone here and they just left them way far away, that it wouldn't be too much of an issue. Basically, like, they don't need to properly inter someone in the ground so that they don't, for example, come back out if they're not anywhere near the graveyard. So they stopped using it, but they did not come back. The older Termark settlers did not come back to like revamp this graveyard, but it remains like a point of history for everyone. At least like an older point of history for the church. It was one of the things that Vicar Morgan had taken it upon him to be better about for the more permanent city, where in the city of Termarkt, when people are put to rest, Vicar Morgan uses the lessons learned from this cemetery to make more proper burials, if not cremate the body. But as you all approach this area, the fog and mist has kind of settled, and you have this very, like, soft, very soft dusting of, like, rain. Let me set this here. Boop.
Ooh, the effects.
Let me go here.
While you set that up, I'm gonna take 30 seconds to be right back.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
ADHD kicks in as everybody starts fucking with their tiles.
Oh no.
What does it like do? How does it move?
It's like they're still.
Let me go here.
Willow kind of looks around, not super thrilled that it's starting to rain. She just kind of like hums to herself. Oh, perhaps my aunt would be here. Might actually be good to pay respects, I suppose. Something people are supposed to do.
Here we go.
Yes. Come here.
I did not understand what that was. I just heard.
Was that?
My hair! He's like, yeah, good to pay respects. Oh, fuck my hair! She's gonna fucking. She has her fucking top hat on. She just fucking pulls it down harder to cover more of herself. Pulls her cloak hood up. It's more of a cape, actually. So she just like hunches it up.
Pierre like takes a hand and just runs it through his hair and slicks it all the way back, and he just goes, "Hey, look, I look very cool now, right? It is like a proper haircut for like a diplomat."
You just look wet and stupid.
You look wet and stupid. He crosses his arms.
Fucking bundles herself into her fucking cloak. Is like, no, I look just small. You look stupid.
Willow will kind of like watch them for a second and then kind of smirk at Pierre and like reach out and without giving him an option, we'll just like readjust some of the hair. I'm like, there. That's a diplomat.
He blushes a little bit and then does like a very powerful diplomatic pose, which is more akin to Superman than diplomat.
Maddie, I do believe that we are supposed to be meeting somebody here, right?
I just got back.
I know.
Yeah, where's Hawk? Hawk, where are you?
From the far end of the graveyard, you hear, "I'm over here!" And then you hear what sounds like coughing.
So run, please, run.
Which direction?
It's going to be from the basically polar opposite corner that you're in. So the
So, here.
northwestern corner. Probably more up here.
Well, Maddie runs. Y'all can catch up.
You start running. Pierre is just like, oh, and grabs Paige by the hand and starts leading Paige away. Also, let me see.
I don't want to move without your permission, but I'm beelining.
You're good. You are good to move.
Okay. I am assuming this way.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to set up the token for Koye.
For what?
For Cody, because I think with the change in sheet, it broke the token that I had set here. Drain wounds. There we go. Strain and
We'll instinctively try to reach for the flame sprayer, but then realizing wet, will instead just like pull her coat a little bit tighter over it to try and keep it dry for now.
Mm-hmm. I will control Electra as everyone else moves.
A little bit slower, goes a different route from the one Maddie took, but same direction.
Agneta will follow behind Willow.
I mean, Paige is being pulled, so she has no choice.
Can you move your tokens, by the way? Okay.
Yes.
Left or right? Which way did they hear?
You heard straight ahead.
Run.
Willow is taking the time to look around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not driven by panic. Is she seeing any sus shit?
Yeah.
No more sus than you would have expected, because as you kind of maneuver around through this graveyard, like a lot of the sus shit is just dated safety measures. Like you're looking at it and it's like, okay, cool. This is an unmarked grave that is just a tombstone. This is like there's this mausoleum looking structure that looks old and decrepit. Like there's a lot of just old, worn out sort of nothing that seems outwardly dangerous. And let me go here. I want...
Don't mind Paige buzzing around.
Turn that on. And I also want... rain. There we go. Yeah, but you eventually follow Maddie, who has run off into the mist, like leaving behind a little, like almost like a billowing trail behind her. And after a sec, Maddie, you peel around a corner and you can see Hawk. All of her physique and like in all of her glory, she is standing there, and she is holding herself up on her knee, like kind of propped, and she is like hacking, coughing badly.
Maddie,
but she's not like wounded in any way that you can tell.
Does she smell any blood or anything like that?
roll me perception, and you are smelling, so you can get your bonus to it. And roll at 2 purple. Plus
Purple?
1
Okay.
black. 2 purple plus 1 black because it is raining, which kind of dampens the smell.
Okay. Would this... nah, maybe not. Never mind. Perception, which it's upgraded, right? Because it's a thing. Upgrade. A black and 2 purple, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Big dice.
Ooh, yeah, fancy dice.
Nice. Yeah, they're metal-ish.
Oh,
Yeah. And I changed the color.
Yeah, anyone can do that, by the way. You can
Dude,
customize your dice.
How the fuck?
Go into settings. I was fucking around on here when the server came back up.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that
So-
later.
Yes. Highly recommend fucking with the dice. It's very fun.
Maddie came up with her like hammer at hand, at the ready kind of thing, and it runs up to Hawk, growling, looking around for any kind of threat.
So you run up to Hawk, growling, looking around. You sniff on the air, and you do smell blood. Very, very faintly. There is a very soft tinge of the smell of blood. And Hawk sees you, and like she's just like and like bangs her chest a little bit and clears her throat, and waves very casually. And you see her wipe her hand on her pant. She goes, "Hey, glad you could make it. Good to see you." Excuse me.
What happened?
Nothing happened. Where's the fire? I've been waiting here for an hour.
Hey, if I look at her sleeve or whatever, is there blood on it?
Yes, you can see that where she wiped her hand on her pant leg, there's blood.
Well, why are you bleeding then?
She just like looks at you, raises an eyebrow, and then looks at her hand. Just goes, "Don't worry about it. It's a nasty cough, no big deal."
Eyes narrow.
Can Agneta attempt to assess medically?
You can. Roll me a medicine check, and you have done this before, and you have quite a bit. I'll give you a blue.
Difficulty?
We'll say 3 purple, but you'll get more information than normal.
Eh.
Yeah. So you walk up. Sister Agneta, you've been in the church doing a lot of medical work for them for a while. You're kind of the like resident nurse of like the church for a lot of different for many different people. You've helped hunters before. You've helped other people, just average citizens before. You know a lot of illnesses that tend to strike people, especially mundane ones, because there's a lot more information on mundane diseases that you are exposed to. You have not checked this woman's throat, but it sounds like TB. It's a bad cough.
Dear.
It's a bad. If it's a cough that bad that she broke out into a fit over calling out for you, and it is a bloody cough. It could be TB.
I think we need to get you to a hospital.
Look, I'm all right. I'll visit a hospital when I got time, but I do appreciate it. This is why I like the young ones, because they're always looking out for geezers like me. And she playfully gives Maddie like a punch on the arm.
Well, if you want us to look out for you, then you should head back and we can do this job.
Agneta will also tie like a handkerchief around her mouth.
And she like pounds her chest a little bit. Hawk does, and just clears her throat. So, anyway, I'm probably wondering why I had you all come out here. There's no ghouls. Don't worry about it. There's no nothing. I was lying. I was lying just to get y'all out here. I wanted y'all to... well, look. And she just kind of shrugs, and she looks at Maddie and just goes, I've been a hunter for a long time, and, you know, what has that got me? Aside from... She just gestures up and down. Aside from a bunch of scars and bruises that don't go away no more. It sucks. But I don't regret doing it. But I don't make no difference nowhere. There's just more monsters. Feels like there's more now than there ever were before. Right?
Oh, yeah, what point are you trying to make here?
Well, my point is that I want to make a difference. And I can't make a difference if I keep doing the same thing over and over until I keel over. So, I wanna try and make a difference. And I know that y'all are, well, I mean, y'all are the young ones here, all from different parts of the city, parts of walks of life, parts of the world, and I mean, I trust your judgment. And she pats Maddie again. These seem like good people. They helped you in a fight, in a pinch. And, well, I heard a rumor. And I want to check it out. But, and she kind of rubs her throat a little bit and says, I think what would be more important is if y'all checked it out. Because I don't know if I can do this on my own. Especially because, well, she just gestures to her face and shrugs. Because I'm getting too old for this shit. But look, I heard a rumor. I heard a rumor that there's some... She says this with quotation marks around her fingers. I heard there's a rumor of some young witch down near Deepfield. And it's not just any witch. It's not just any old rumor neither. This is a girl, like a little girl. And apparently she has some sway over the woods. These are rumors. But I've been digging around on some of these excursions I've been going out on. And Maddie, you would know that she's been going out on a lot of solo hunts lately.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the past couple months. And she'll say, I've seen some weird shit. But I've never seen the woods bend the knee to anyone. Ever. Man or beast or nothing. And for a rumor to spread about some little girl who's got the woods bowing around her. I don't know, I think it's worth checking out. But here's the struggle. I heard she's moving up through Deepfield, but they didn't say which direction. I was told that she could be moving up either from Deepfield to Daggerhaven, or she's moving up to Deepfield from somewhere south. And if she's in the woods, I'm not crossing my fingers that we're gonna find her there. So here's the real deal. I want to get to Deepfield, and I want to find this little girl. Because there's a lot more that I can't just dump on y'all right now. Y'all think just fucking crazy, and I don't. And she looks at Sister Agneta. I don't want to rub you the wrong way, but I don't think the church would take too kindly to me saying some of the things I'm gonna say. But I know that if I cut across here, and she points out to the west, if I cut from here to Deepfield, I might run into her. But the off chance that I miss her is too big. And I know that the route's safer if you go around the long way. So I'm asking for your help if you wouldn't mind making a trip. A real far trip, mind you. But cutting out through the dirt path, around through Daggerhaven, and up and back to Deepfield to try and find this little girl. And if you don't have my faith yet, I can tell you one thing for sure. And it's just a rumor, again, but I never heard a rumor like this in all my time. I think she has Pandora's box.
The Pandora's box.
She nods.
Willow has stayed at the bottom of these stairs, just kind of watching and letting the hunters sort their shit. Like, arms crossed. So, you believe there's a rumor that's true. Fair enough. Why the hell did you drag us all the way to a cemetery? Just to tell us this when you could have said everything over dinner last night.
I'd like to know that as well.
I know you, and she points to Maddie. And I do know you, and she points to Electra and says, I know you because of your family. They're good hunters, they're good people. And the rest of y'all aren't hunters. But there are some that you can't always trust in your home. And I've been hearing a lot of rumors. And it's got me nervous. And she looks at Maddie, and there's sorrow in her eyes, like a very, very distant sense of just anxiety and fear about betrayal. And she shakes her head very just very gently and says, I don't know if this is true or not, but there's someone in the camp, maybe, who doesn't mean all the good that they say they mean. And when I found out, I came straight back to camp to get you.
You know who it is?
No, I don't.
How did you even come across this information?
She puts her hands on her hips and just kind of... She looks up and first makes eye contact with Sister Agneta, and then shakes her head, kind of rubs the bridge of her nose and says, "Now I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say, but I need you to trust me on this, but there was this force spirit that I was talking to. And she knew things. She knew things that she shouldn't have known. And she told me some more things that would come to pass, and I can't sit on this information and just let it happen. I did not trade with her anything. I promise I did not break any of the traditional rules here. This was not a quid pro quo. I bumped into this person. And she hesitates and says, "I bumped into this creature, and she knew me. She told me that there was going to be a bad betrayal. Bad from my family. And no, not the family that you're born with, the family that you make." And she points to you and Electra and herself, and she goes, "This family." And I've been hearing these rumors about Pandora's box and everything for a couple weeks at this point. But she told me that if I am not careful, that this person, this family member, this hunter, is going to take Pandora's box and is going to kill her. And I don't know what you can do with that sort of power, or that sort of artifact, or what have you, but it's gonna be no good, okay? So we have to put the brakes on everything to take care of this.
Let's say that we do go with this plan. We do go into the woods, find this witch girl, and find Pandora's box. What exactly are you proposing that we do with Pandora's box?
Well, before I got the bad news about that hunter, whoever they are, I was going to suggest that we lock it up somewhere tight beneath the camp and keep it far away from everyone else, out of sight, out of mind. Her eyes look to Agneta again, and she goes, "Away from the church. I know the church doesn't mean poorly, but I can't imagine they would be so ecstatic about some kind of heretical artifact like that. But I was hoping to stash it away somewhere safe, where it can't be tampered with." Why?
Understand your concern, but I mean, the church would be one of the safest places to keep such an item.
If the
She
church chooses to keep it is the issue.
there's this confliction on Hawk's face, and she goes, That may be the case, especially now, knowing what I know. I just hope. I don't know what Vicar Morgan would do with it. I would hope that he is wise enough to lock it away and keep it safe. But, gosh, I've been bothered by this information for a week now. On my way back. And at the very least, there's a little girl out there who's wandering around in the woods. And I don't care how powerful these rumors say she is, or whatever, the woods bow to her will, what have you. But I don't think that's gonna last. I don't have any faith that these woodlands, or these critters out there, that one of them won't be in a bad mood and stumble into her. At the very least, I want to save this little girl.
Maddie will kind of set her hammer down and step closer to Hawk and kind of look her really seriously, like serious in the eye, kind of thing. Like, Alex, you're the best and smartest hunter I know out of all of us. Are you sure whatever creature you came across was not just trying to mess with you? Try to cause distance between the hunters?
She blinks. And she, like, licks her lips and nods really, just ever so imperceptibly, just nods. And you can see that in her eyes, you can roll insight. No purple.
Okay. Insight. No purple. Roll.
So, like, you can read her expression. You know a lot about Alex. You've known her for a long time, and you have known a lot of her story, more or less. Where many of the hunters in the camp don't. They just know that she's been at this for a long time. And she has a conviction in her eyes that has never wavered. Never in the time that you've known her has she ever kind of faltered when she has, one, set her mind to something, or two, had someone question her intentions about, like, what her goals are. And she looks at you with the same conviction, and you can see, and you could feel it, palpably feel it, like, radiate off of her, this intensity of just, if I had to do this alone, I would. You can see in her eyes that if you say no, she's still gonna do it. and you can see that she's partially bracing herself for you to say no. And then there's just a brief hesitation, and she says, I gotta try and make a difference. I've been hunting beasts for damn near 50 years. And she shrugs. Look where that's got me. Look where that's got us. We saved a lot of people, and we can save a lot of people more. But it doesn't change nothing.
Well, if you believe this, then so do I. I have trusted you this long. It's not going to change now.
She nods. And there's a very tired smile. Like she is so relieved that you're willing to help. But she is also just... There's so much anxiety still in her posture. And she'll look up towards Agneta and Paige and Pierre and Willow and say, now I know I'm asking a lot, especially as strangers, for y'all to wander out here, and even still to wander out somewhere that's damn near a couple weeks travel. But I wish I could tell you more. I wish I could impart on you all this feeling that I have in my gut. But I can't.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why can't you tell us more?
There's a brief, like, inhale, and she bites down on her words. I can't. You just have to trust me on this one. I can't say more. If I could, I would.
Can you at least tell me how long you've been sick?
Roll. Oh, let me see. Roll me either charm or coercion. You know, I could also see negotiation. Charm, coercion, or negotiation.
Bad across the board.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
At least with coercion, I got a yellow.
Yellow's good. and you're gonna be rolling. Let's see. You're gonna be rolling against her, which is... It's gonna be 2 purple. Because she is not exceptionally good at deception.
Do I have
Ooh.
anything that could help here?
I have a thing that might help, depending on how Joe decides to rule this. since it is a you're setting it up as a challenge check.
Mm-hmm.
I did take clever retort.
Oh, I knew you were gonna.
Oh, okay.
So your character may use this talent to add automatic 2 threat. Yeah, 2 threat to another character's social skill check. So if I'm wanting to detract from
Her
Hawk's
deception.
Hawk's deception, if you're making it just roll as a challenge check, that would be technically advantage to Maddie's.
I could see that. So
I would also wonder if, given my medical check, if Agneta would have an idea of how long the disease has existed.
Yes. So I was gonna say between a clever retort and Agneta's knowledge, at the very least, if like it's going to be very difficult for Hawk to successfully deceive.
Just get this like very muttered, but also like just quiet enough to be like not part of the conversation, but also just loud enough where everybody can still clearly hear it. Of this like, go. There's some answers from somebody.
So it's 2 purple, you said?
2 purple.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think any of my abilities would work here.
You could spend a story point.
What would that do if it's just a
Green.
yellow? Would it add a green?
It would add a green.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Fuck it.
There you go.
Upgrade. 2 purple.
Ooh.
2 advantages on it.
And I'll give you, yep, you get your 2 advantages. And there's a pause when you ask how long she's been sick. And she like brings a hand up to her chin and just kind of rubs her chin back and forth a little bit. And just goes, a week. And Agneta, you would know that if this is a mundane disease, and it is tuberculosis, that is grossly wrong. She has been like, hold on, let me make sure that I'm not crazy here. But yeah, so for her to be having blood in her cough at this stage, it would be well over a month, almost 2.
Agneta will just kind of side-eye Maddie and like shake her head just ever so slightly.
Maddie will look at Agneta, then not glare, but just shake her head at Hawk like, I've known you literally almost all of my life, and you still lie to me? You can't be truthful.
For the first time since you have all met Hawk, Hawk is a tall and broad woman. She is built like a barbarian. She carries a sword that could cut someone directly down the middle. She is a imposing figure. She is tall. She's 2 pages tall. Like she is a big
Goddamn.
person.
Yeah,
She's not actually 8 feet tall, for the record. But like compared to Paige, it's like you could stack 2 pages on one another's shoulders and you would have the approximate like intensity and breadth of a hawk.
Yeah, and Maddie is closest to Paige's height too.
And it, like the stark contrast between Maddie and Hawk in this moment is that it feels as though in the amount of time you've seen her and like the size of her character in this moment shrinks, and you get to see what it looks like when a person who is easily 6'2", 6'3", just shrivels under the weight of being caught in a lie. And she just puts her hands on her hips and looks at the ground. She can't hold your gaze, Maddie. She just looks at her feet and then looks up at the sky and just goes, "Oh, you're killing me, Mads."
No, I think you're doing that yourself.
Paige is close enough to hear that Willow, like, very much under her breath. I'm pretty sure that Z is doing that,
But it's been a few weeks now. And she
Looks to Agneta. Like, side glances to Agneta for confirmation.
She'll wince a little bit, like maybe a bit unlikely.
Yeah, like at the very least, it's like a few weeks if you're highballing it and just kind of saying 5 as a few, then yes, maybe. But
Very soft, very slight low growl in annoyance.
Also, Agneta will turn to face the others that are standing a little bit away and like point to her cloth over her face.
Pierre immediately is like looks to Paige and just goes, "Napkins, get the napkins. Do the thing."
Pulling out handkerchiefs. I love that Paige has turned into just a handkerchief dispenser now. But she'll pull out handkerchiefs, I guess. Pass them out. She's gonna give Willow a blue one.
So Hawk like looks to Sister Agneta, and she can't hold the gaze with Sister Agneta either. She like she's in the presence of someone who knows their shit far more than she knows, and she is just like, shit. And she just looks away and looks back to Maddie and just goes, "I don't know. I wasn't keeping track, but it's been at least 3 weeks or more. I only been coughing up blood for this past week, though." And she shrugs. "Honest."
Yes, because that makes me feel better.
Didn't want to worry you.
Doing a great job at that.
There's like this wave of frustration that passes over and through her, and she looks at you and she just goes, "Look, okay, my job doesn't change just because I'm sick."
It does for everyone else. Why can't it change for you?
Look, that's why I asked you out here. Okay, I can't do this alone. I can try.
Well, you're not gonna do this alone. But after this mission, you're retiring. You need to retire.
There is a hard stare, like you and her just lock eyes, and there's just a weathered sigh from Hawk after a few seconds pass, and she just goes, "Okay, I can't keep up with it, and I think you're right. After this, and she stops, and she you can see that her gaze fixes on something in the distance as she is
Turn to
looking
look.
out in this direction. You, she is looking at something, and you turn around to look, and everyone who turns and looks, you can see what appears to be a person, a humanoid shape. So what you can't see in this map is that as you are going from the bottom to the top, it slopes upward. So you can actually see the gate way down here as a result of the incline. So you can see at the gate from where you all entered in, this cobblestone entryway, there is a person who is, they have no hair on their head, totally bald, and their back is facing towards you. You can see the back of their head and their spine, and they're unclothed, totally nude, like huddled, kind of clutching their sides and hugging themselves, partially shivering, but they're standing there. As you are all, as Hawk sees that, she tenses up. And you can all hear very clearly, like, it's not from any specific source, but you hear just, what was that noise? Is someone there?
Do we hear that voice from like all around us?
Mm-hmm. Like a whisper on the wind. You hear these little phrases. Did you hear something? It's so hard to see. What do you do?
Willow would have initially taken a couple of steps away, kind of tried to get a better angle on this person at the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Not like necessarily trying to go to the gate, just like trying to get a better angle. And because she's also like, that's hunter drama that is happening that I am not participating in. I'm not sticking my nose in the middle of that. And as the voices start, she kind of stills very, very slowly. I see her kind of look one side, look to the other side, kind of tilt her head. And she will kind of mutter to herself. I don't suppose you have anything to say about this summer?
There's under your breath, like hidden in the spaces in between your own inhale and exhale, there's just, not me. And from over your shoulder, you hear the voice of Winter say, "Oh, this is interesting. It's from the city."
Just head tilts slightly different direction to hear better. Tiamat.
And you can hear the the face that Winter would be making, the expression, as it is somewhere between a like curious and mischievous grin of just, no, a different city, an older city. And then those whispers come back, and you hear again, I think I'm lost. Where's the way home? Are we gonna be okay? And then a very, very tiny voice, a very tiny whisper, just, Mom? Are you still there?
Willow will very carefully pulled out her fire sprayer at Winter's comment and will look over her shoulder at everybody else and hold up a finger to her lips of be very quiet.
Can you roll me a weird check, Willow, at 3 purple? This is to get some insight on what this thing is.
Three purple.
Correct.
That's going to apply to this. Technically, I think I get an upgrade on this one.
You do get your upgrade. Okay. So you hear, and I will send this in chat too so you can have it. You hear the voice of Winter next to you, almost as if it's a person standing by your shoulder. There's that knowing grin of just, I know what this is. I've heard of it before. Sut Filk. And you feel the weight of Winter like pressed against your shoulder as she gets closer to your ear, and she says, they eat the noises of the people they devour.
And Willow tense a little bit more. Finger still in front of her lips for everybody else, looking over her shoulder. And then we'll just kind of do that hand gesture, very slow, palm down towards the ground, trying to be like careful, slow.
You said it's like rainy and like windy, right?
It's rainy and misty.
And misty?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is the group moving?
The group?
Yeah. Because fucking, you don't gotta tell. Shit's creepy. You don't gotta tell Paige to be quiet twice. However, it's like, okay, are we leaving? I'd like to leave.
Pierre is petrified.
Okay, she has one hand on his wrist. She's like, okay. Looks to the hunters. Are we? Like, gesturing of like, what do? Following you. What do? Because depending on what we do, Paige might cast a mask to try and cover their escape, depending on what they do.
Maddie will look at Willow as she kind of tells everyone to be quiet, essentially, and then look back to Hawk to catch her eye and give kind of a. Can she catch her eye?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she'll give a look of like, we're not done here, kind of thing, as if she's a parent talking to a child. But then kind of nods her head like, are we going? Like, do the head, like, what's the word?
The head nod?
Not nod, but like where you tilt it like sideways, like, are we going, kind of thing, like tilting backwards, like towards the group.
So, Hawk, since you're inside the walls of the graveyard, Hawk is like looks to Electra and then looks at Electra's whip. And Electra is readying her whip. It is consecrated. And let me take a picture really quick of this. Okay. She's going to look at that, and then she's going to look at Agneta. And she is going to look at Maddie and say, we need consecration. Consecrated weapons. Holy water. Fire. But move very slowly. And we might be able to get out without having to fight. And as you hear her speak, there is a slow, steady encroach as this fog grows heavier. And towards the entrance now, you can see that there are more. Their backs, again, continue to face you. And you can't see their face. They're all just like nude, grayish, blue-skinned looking damp, cold humans with no hair. And they are constantly facing away. We'll post a picture of the monster. Actually, wait, I can't post the picture of it yet because that reveals its face. It's got a really good spooky face.
Oh, what is your problem, Doc?
I think
Paige,
though we should
disciplining
probably
Sorry.
leave it here that way, because this is going to be right about where combat breaks out.
What are you
And-
talking about? We could run.
Right about where combat breaks out. And this combat is like going to be very reliant on Electra and Agneta.
Surprise, Cody! You now have a combat character.
That is not
Congratulations.
true.
You got this.
I will. I can't wait to reveal it. I think it's cool. I'm gonna post a picture of it in Discord. It is called the Sut-Filk.
Fuck.
They always walk backwards until you get too close to them and it will reveal their face. And their face is this contorted rearrangement of human features. And as they move silently, but the whispers of those they have devoured are constantly being played around them.
I don't know why, but it makes me think of something you'd find in the spiral.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you right now, it's not a woodland creature.
Just to clarify, end of session right now. Sorry, I had to go fucking
Yes.
tell the dog to shut up.
Yes, we'll end it right here because it's going to break out into a very, very strategic stealth combat.